Today, I want to talk about what I see as the destruction of the U.S. by Obama. Um, in the beginning, he pushed for Obamacare. This was pushed through by Democrats. Republicans were not for it. Um, I've talked with many people over the years about this, and the only ones that like Obamacare are ones that get subsidies from Obamacare. So they aren't paying fully for their insurance. They're expecting hardworking taxpayers to pay their insurance. Um, for those of us that are solely responsible for our lives, I've seen my premiums go up from $450 a month to $1,000 a month. I've seen my deductibles go from $3,000 a year to $12,400 a year. I've seen copays go up that do not get counted into the deductibles. I've seen a new category added called co-insurance, which can cost 20% of some of the medical costs that you have to pay. So minimally, if I get sick, or it would be $24,400 for the year before insurance kicks out and pays for anything. This destroys the finances of hardworking families. If you can't afford insurance, then you're required to pay a tax or a penalty, which is counterintuitive. If you can't afford insurance, how can you afford to pay an additional tax bill? So like I said, the only ones who like it are people who are getting something for nothing. You're actually for the government stealing from hardworking people in order to give something to you. That's not quite fair. I would say, read a book called Basic Economics by Thomas Sowell, and you'll see just how destructive this is to the economy. Obama has also doubled the national debt during his tenure. This is more than all the presidents combined have incurred in debt. This will cause our taxes to increase. This will cause our children to shoulder a debt that they did not incur, so it's not fair. It wouldn't be right for me to go out and buy an expensive car and have my son pay for it. This, is also working as a way to destabilize our economy. A lot of our government budget is for fraud, waste, and abuse. We could severely cut that. Under Clinton as Secretary of State, there was a large sum of money that went missing. No investigation done. They can't account for it. We've seen, we've made payments to countries that despise us, and after clearing the check, they still despise us. So I don't understand what we're doing there. We've also seen Obama demoralize, degrade, and dismantle our military, which gives us less security. We've seen him abandon long-standing allies. When he first got into office, he said we should not be seen as having too close a ties with England anymore. I'm not even sure where that came from. And we've seen, him kind of abandon allies, make new allies with countries that sponsor terrorism. The Iran nuclear deal comes to mind. That is dangerous for the world. We made this deal with getting very little to nothing while giving them quite a bit. And we've seen, like he's moving closer ties with Turkey. And, they have some possibility of terrorist ties. So it wouldn't make sense standing from the standpoint of making the U.S. or the world safer. We've seen him destabilize the Middle East. He helped topple Gaddafi. That was under Hillary Clinton. This was without congressional approval, which is illegal, or at least I've heard it's illegal. He supported the Arab Spring, which erupted into chaos and allowed ISIS to grow. So there hasn't been like a clear-cut plan for, supporting people and being in seeking their freedom. And it seems that all this is work to destabilize the Middle East, which I don't think Obama's and his advisors, or the people that he works closely with, are stupid. I feel like this was purposeful. We also have where he had the Fast and Furious, where they were giving guns to drug cartels, and they said it was to track the guns, I guess to try to figure out who was in the cartel, but they lost track of the guns. I don't believe that you lost track like that. You should be more competent than that. So it seems to me he's arming criminals while at the same time talking about how law-abiding citizens are the ones to fear. That we should be restricted in our Second Amendment, and he's fear-mongering with that. Trying to take, people say that he's not trying to take guns away. It's like, you do this in a process. You can't just swoop in and take guns away. You have to do a process. I know in California, they've started taking guns away from people, legally purchased guns, under the guise of, well, we're concerned for their mental health type of thing. And he's going down a very slippery slope, and I don't see it stopping. We also have, since he's taken office, his race baiting and divisiveness has driven wedges between people like I have never seen before in this country. I long for the days when I grew up, because really didn't have all these issues. Now it has gotten so bad with the whole cries of racism that they actually will claim that dogs are racist, that trees are racist, our national parks are racist because of the trees. I'm not joking. And it's it's gotten to the point where you could be a lifelong supporter of somebody, but all of a sudden you're declared a racist just because of the color of your skin. So, it's like, okay, I guess I'm done helping that guy since he obviously hates me so much. So, just amazing what he's done. We also see him ignoring immigration laws. The thing is that, when you have an illegal immigrant that's in custody for breaking the law, and they release them because Obama says, well, we're not going to bother deporting, then the man gets out, he's freed, and he murdered a woman named Kate Steinle. I think he'd been deported like 5 times prior to this. So, we can't just have free and open borders. Most countries do not. I could not walk into Mexico and expect to stay there without going through the proper paperwork and processes. And I would have respect for them and would not do that without going through the proper paperwork. If I wanted to immigrate to Belize or Panama, they're very welcoming, but I still would have to follow their rules to get in. And I would not say they were racist for having these rules. I would not say they were discriminatory. I understand why they do that. We also have, Obama has refugees coming into this country. Now these are from the Middle East that he's helped to destabilize and helped ISIS to grow. But this is at great taxpayer expense. You do have the organizations that are resettling the refugees are in it for the money. You have some people that volunteer their time, and the companies that they are working for will bill the government for that person's time. So the person's donating their time, and the company makes money off of that donated time. They don't encourage refugees to be self-sufficient, because the more that are dependent, the more money they get from the government. Some refugees have complained about being brought here. Some have said, actually, against their will, uh, they're very unhappy being here. A more humane way to handle it would be, Jordan has said, we'd be happy to take them in. Our cultures are similar. It'd be easier for them. They're closer to home. When things settle down, it'd be easier for them to go home. They have asked for money for that help, but compared to what we're paying to resettle them here in the U.S., it's a lot cheaper, more humane for the people that are having to be resettled because they're not having to adapt to a whole new culture, and it's more humane to the the people who are paying the bill. If the taxpayers are paying the bill, it's more humane in that you're making sure that you're getting the most bang for your buck, so to speak. There's also the fact that ISIS has said that they've declared they will have their people infiltrate the refugees, and that seems to be pretty accurate. When ISIS says they're going to do something, they do it. Sad to say. So you have all those issues that just, it doesn't make sense to resettle them in cultures that are foreign to them, that they have no understanding of. They're already displaced. It is more humane to settle them in countries that are closer to them in culture and ideology, and also closer to home. Just geographically, it'd be easier to go back home if things settle down for them. Obama likes to denigrate anybody that opposes him or demonize him. One of the things, if you're anti-refugee, he says, well, you're just afraid of widows and orphans. Well, when you look at the pictures, you're seeing military-age men. You're not seeing a whole bunch of widows and orphans. There have been studies done that when you upset the balance of the population, gender-wise, when you have more men than women, the treatment of women becomes barbaric. Women will see themselves mistreated. You would think, maybe being a minority, they might care for you a little bit more because you'd be, I guess scarcer. But studies have indicated that's not true. So, it doesn't make sense, common sense, when you look at this. Obama has done a great job at demonizing those that disagree with him, at degrading those that disagree with him. We have seen him denigrate Christianity. He was raised as a Muslim. He has claimed that he converted to Christianity. The thing is, if you leave the Islamic religion, the penalty for that is death. When I have talked with anybody that's either an ex-Muslim or a Muslim, they agree that that is the penalty for leaving the religion. Obama doesn't, he's still around, but he also doesn't talk like an ex-Muslim. Ex-Muslims usually do not have such kind words, or even words like exalting the religion. He just, he has nothing but wonderful things to say about the religion. It's like, if it's so good, why would you have left? So you see him denigrate Christianity and exalt Islamic faith. And ex-Muslims usually do not do that. They say, point blank, why they left the religion: because of barbarism, the violence, the calls to jihad. These are things they don't agree with. Their take on life is a kinder one. So they either turn to another religion or become atheists. So Obama may be practicing taqiyya, which is to lie about the religion. I keep hearing how it's a religion of peace, and when you look around the world, you don't see that peace so much. There's also Morena. which is the suspension of Sharia law. So he can suspend his practice of being Islamic and make all appearances of being a Christian so that he can lull people into thinking, that he's not Muslim anymore, when in fact he actually may be. In all this demonization, all this race baiting, all this divisiveness, he's set the stage for a powder keg type of thing. And he's just waiting for that one thing to spark things off. I know that in speaking with people who were ex-Muslim or maybe lived under Islamic rule, they are very fearful. They've come to the U.S. or they've gone to another Western country for safety, and they're fearful that Sharia law or Islam will take over the country. And I know that people are like, oh, that'll never happen. Well, when nobody speaks up, silence is consent. It's a very real possibility, especially if you have somebody like Obama that is lying about what really happens with this religion. And these same people are concerned that we may not have an election. And it may sound a bit crazy because we've never had this type of situation, but things are getting increasingly hostile and nasty. And no matter how much you try to be civil, the nastiness is incredible. They keep, like with Trump, they said, well, he said inflammatory things. Well, some of it, if you really paid attention to what he said, he didn't say what the media said he said. He didn't, but even if he did say these things, okay, even if he did say them, that does not give somebody the right to show up at his rallies to try to keep people from listening to him speak, to turn to violence, to try to intimidate people away from what they truly believe in their heart is, the best candidate. Now, Trump was not my choice. I preferred Cruz, but I have not denigrated anybody over their choice of Trump. When the Democrats on the left try to absolve the violent liberals and say, well, it's all Trump's fault, I'm sorry. You may not agree with what Trump says, okay, but that does not give you the right to go to a Trump rally and pepper spray children. That it does not give you the right to conduct yourself in such a violent manner. I know that with Hillary Clinton, there are a lot of problems with her. I do not go to her rallies. I do not incite violence at her rallies. Okay, I disagree with her. I think she is probably the worst option for this country. But I don't go to her rallies and get nasty. I know when I talk to a particular Hillary Clinton supporter, I'm trying to have a logical discussion with this person, and they flipped out. Couldn't believe it. And I was just like, I think this person's mentally ill. Facts and logic do not warrant a violent response. So I think that Obama has been stoking the flames, as have Democrats and liberals. And I think that there's a very real possibility that if things become chaotic, violent enough, he has an excuse to shut down an election and stay in power. Now, this does sound far-fetched, I agree, but I don't know how to put it. I view Obama as an evil man. I honestly do. I have known evil men. And I don't put anything past him. I honestly don't. It is frightening to me that people will not open their eyes, will not pay attention to what is right in front of them. You know, I've had discussions with Muslims about one of the most troubling things I have with their religion is the child brides at 9 years old is pretty common practice. And I was told by one that was willing to discuss it without threats of violence that people from Islamic countries, the girls, mature faster, which, yeah, not true. But let's, for the sake of argument, say it's true. I said, okay, we'll just say that that's true. Do you understand that mentally these girls are not? They are not prepared to marry 40, 50, 60-year-old men. You know, any child psychologist could tell you that that is damaging. Plus the cruelty that they get treated with. You know, the beatings, the rapes, you know, just not being able to continue with their education. So this is a religion that I just, you know, I don't really think of it as a religion. I think of it as an ideology wrapped in death and destruction, oppression. But it's something that just cannot be tolerated. There is no excuse for this. So, you know, I think everybody needs to kind of calm down, really think about what's going on here, because the violence that is coming about, I really think is a direct result of what the seeds that Obama has planted. He's not a stupid man. I think he's had a very detailed plan. He has a lot of advisors, and money will buy a lot. You know, we keep talking about our politicians being bought and paid for. Well, you know, it's like, and a radical faith in Islam buys even more. And I really fear that that is where his heart is. Yeah, I don't know if you could say heart, but that's where his mind is, his loyalties lie. So, you know, I know that on the Republican side, there haven't been, you know, as much violence and stuff. But I would say try to tone down the angry rhetoric. Try to tone down the violence until we can get to this election. Because you don't want to hand any excuses for us not to have an election. I may not agree with the choices we have running for president at the moment. Trying to pick the best out of my choices, but I think it'd be far more damaging for everybody to keep up with this you know, violence. I don't think I have much chance of getting through to any of the liberals or Democrats, so it will be up to conservative people, you know, libertarians, independents. It'll be up to the rest of us to try to keep the peace. Otherwise, I don't think it's going to happen.